That air is really hot right there. All right, I'm gonna turn this down all the way. All right, it's on the lowest setting on the heater. Pumping out 4 watts. All right, it's been on about 45 minutes here. We're gonna do the shutdown process. So on this Ecoflow Delta 1300, we got nothing plugged up except the diesel heater in the back. Got a full charge. We're gonna turn this bad boy on. Okay, the battery symbol there is flashing, and we've got an E-01 power supply under voltage. So Dad's bought this thing here from Amazon. We'll put the link in the description. All right, this heater's on the lowest possible setting there. Barely cranking. 10 watts output here. Hey, what's up guys? It's Evan with Appalachian Adventures here. We got a diesel heater for Christmas from the wife, and we're gonna put it together. See if we can get it running for the first time, and you can go along with us here. It comes with the air intake or air filter there, and the exhaust, a little muffler. Comes with some clamps here for your hoses, some little ones. Comes with this 3-inch hose here that stretches a little bit, but not very much. So we got this one from Amazon. It comes with its own clamps. It goes out to 16.5 feet. And it comes with this little 12-volt power supply cable, because it plugs in the back right here, but it's just bare wires on the end. So we got this from Amazon, which is a little bit thicker wire and better, a little bit longer too, for the cigarette lighter for the plug in to your portable power stations. So we're gonna get that going. We got some heat tape because the exhaust gets really hot and it comes out of the bottom. And we actually got some wood here because the bottom of the heater, it's got these feet that actually can come off too. So you can, if I can get it in there, we're gonna cut the wood and screw the wood to each side there to raise it up off the ground a little bit, because the exhaust basically just comes out the bottom there. It could be a fire hazard. Let's see what else it comes with here. We've got this right here would connect to the end of your hose, and you can kind of direct which way, if you want to make the heat go up or down or whatever direction. It comes with this little remote. I guess you can cover up the buttons if you want to. With that heater, the instructions, basically everybody says are trash, and they are trash because it's not even showing you that in the instructions. It's like the internals. And it talks about installing it in a vehicle, basically. And there's a little bit of stuff about the remote and how to get the thing started. But it kind of reads a little bit weird, so we just watched a bunch of YouTube videos, and we're gonna go on that basically. Ozark Overland Adventures had a video with this, and one of the power stations that we're gonna show you in a little bit. I mean, he got it running, so we're gonna go based on what he did. And in his video, if you've watched that, he stated you need to buy this cord. We're gonna put all the links in the thing. So we got that. His apparently didn't come with a muffler, so he said he needed to get one, which we did, but it actually came with a muffler, so they must have updated that. And what else? The heat tape. He suggested that, you know, for the exhaust to help with the heat on that. So we'll put all the links in the video description. Let's get this thing put together and hook it up to the power stations, see if we can get it running. So here's the diesel heater, guys. It's Civil, whatever. There's the name and model number. Put your diesel in there. Here's where you plug the power in. That's gonna be sucking in the air that's heating it up. It's gonna be blowing out the hot air there. You got your control panel. This doesn't go very far. We'll talk about that here in a minute, a little bit later. Here's the feet that I was talking about. We're gonna cut the wood, make the base for that real quick, and get back with you. Alright, so we got the wood cut out here. You can put whatever size wood under it you want, but we just raised it up a little bit to give it some space for, you know, when you're camping out there, you don't want to catch the grass on fire or whatever, but it should be mostly dirt anyways, but it'll still help. Alright, so putting the heat wrap on the exhaust there. It came with these little clamps that kind of go in themselves to help hold the heat tape while you're wrapping it around through there. We got it all wrapped up. Put one of the big clamps there where we got it started. Put a clamp around there, and we put two where the end of it's wrapped to hold that good. We got the muffler put on there. Those little clamps that it comes with here. Here's what it looks like underneath, and there's two holes. You got your exhaust and the air intake, and one fits. The air intake will fit on both, but that muffler definitely only fits on one. It will go on that one, but not the other one. So that's how you know where your exhaust goes. So I need a clamp on it there. Stick your exhaust in, and then there's a hole on the side where you can stick your screwdriver and tighten it in. We used a little clamp that come with it here, and the existing screw that was already in it, just to hold this, because it kind of just flops down on the ground if you don't. So we got that ready to go. Let's see if we can get this power supply hooked up. We got two different power stations, the Bluetti EB55 and an Ecoflow. Is that the Delta 2?
1300.
Let's see here. Not sure it says it on there.
Ecoflow Delta 1300.
All right, we got this power supply cord here. Those unscrewed all the way, and there's little washers there. Since we've recorded this video, my dad got a different brand diesel heater, and his said, to ensure optimal combustion, please remember that the smoke exhaust pipe cannot be placed upward and must be placed horizontally or downward. There's your fuel level indicator. I just put a little over halfway in it. I think it takes just a little over 1 gallon. Make sure you're plugged in good all the way there. On this one, we've got to push this button to turn on the DC output. There's the control panel. We've got power on there. All right, so this thing does come with the optional remote here. So if you're in your tent, rooftop tent, or whatever, you can adjust the output to lower or hotter. And this thing is supposedly here set automatically to Celsius, and this can act like a thermostat to self-regulate up and down. It won't cut off or turn on by itself, but it'll turn the heat up and down as needed. But that doesn't work for me really, because this isn't that long. You can extend this if you know how, but we're not gonna do that right now. So this will be outside the tent for me. So we're gonna change the settings here over, push this button and that button together. And there it shows Celsius. Push it one more time. And there it shows the power output. Push up on the right side there. That's how you adjust the power output. Go up and down with it. So if you want to make it hotter, you go up 4.8 hertz there. See how high it goes. Keep on going. 5.4 hertz is how it'll go. See how low it'll go. So you can't just hold it, you gotta push it each time, looks like. It'll go down to 1.7 hertz, so that'll be your lowest heat setting. So after you do that, all you gotta do is hit the power button, and then it's gonna go through its process. It's gonna pump fuel there from the fuel tank through the fuel line and get it primed up. So it's gonna take a few minutes to get going through its process here, and you'll start hearing the fuel pump click. So it didn't work the first time. We pushed power again and kind of held it for like a second, and now it shows on. It was blinking on, and you see these lights on the bottom starting to flash. There's a big glare there. So you can see things starting to work. The glow plugs heating up. We heard it kick on down there a little bit. You can hear it's gonna start clicking for the fuel pump to prime the line there. So we'll see how long that takes. So you can see there the diesel heater's pulling 108 watts there as it's going through its startup process. Now the fuel pump's kicking in. You can hear it clicking there, so it's priming the fuel line. It took about 1 minute for the fuel pump to start kicking in.
Yeah, we got exhaust now.
Now there's some exhaust coming out. But as this thing heats up and as you turn the heat up, the fuel pump will be pumping faster. You know, the more heat it needs to pump out. But the very first time you do this process, it takes a little bit longer because there's no fuel in the line. You know, it's got to get it set up and everything. But after that, supposedly it's quicker. So it's going to take a few minutes to get heated up here. It's about 47 degrees and a little bit windy, and we're in the shade outside. So we'll see how it goes here in just a minute. Now it's pulling about 123 watts as it's getting cranked up here. All right, now we got some exhaust coming out. You can hear it a little bit louder. It's up to 83 temp gun right there. We've seen videos where it's about 200 degrees once it gets rolling here, about after 10 minutes or so. We'll check back with you. Got a little bit of smoke coming off the exhaust here. We've seen a few people talk about how you should probably do a good couple hour burn in time frame on the first time. You can see there where the exhaust is smoking a little bit out. The heat wrap is smoking a little. All right, it's on the lowest setting there. It's just barely on. Let me crank it up here. You can see it's changed on the display there, those green and yellow and red lights. The bars are all the way up. Fan lights on. So I got this remote out, and I didn't really do anything besides start pushing the buttons on it, and see it's turning it up from the remote. I saw something where you might have to pair the remote to it, so I'll put a link to a PDF file that talks more about this and the remote. A little bit clearer than the instructions. That air is really hot right there. It's hot. It's like almost hurts my hand to hold it here too long. It's really warm even back here. But this heat wrap and exhaust is kind of smoking a little bit. So we're just gonna let it run a while. It's on 37 watts now. And we're at the 5.2 hertz. So it's almost all the way up. And we're pulling about 35 watts output there. So this heater comes with these two parts here. Just snap it in there, it looks like. And then you can put that on the end of your hose and kind of direct the heat up or down or whichever way you want to there a little bit.
Well, it doesn't too. It's hot.
Yeah, that's some hot air coming out of there. Right now it's on 4.9 hertz.
Yeah, some people just cut off a little length here, just cut a little bit off and then put this up here close if you're not going to run a hose anywhere.
Yeah, but for mine, I'll have this outside, and we've got this 16-foot one because this extends a little bit, but not much. So I'm going to use that black hose and pipe it into my tent. We'll test that on another video. But it's been going, let's see, about 25 minutes or so, and it's pretty much done smoking. On the exhaust there. Will it show the heat? About 180, 170, 180, 190 degrees right there. 190 something there. It's pretty hot. All right, I'm gonna turn this down all the way as low as it'll go. And you can't really hear the fuel pump like you could in the very first process starting up. You can barely hear it clicking, but not enough to be annoying while you're sleeping or anything. So now it's on the lowest setting. You could hear it get a lot quieter. We'll give that a minute or two and see what the temperature is coming out. All right, it's on the lowest setting on the heater, pumping out 4 watts. So that if you have a 537 watt hours power station like this, you could run that non-stop for quite a long time. So let's see what the heat is on the lowest setting coming out here. Still pretty hot.
Yeah, it's about 10 to 15 degrees cooler.
All right, it's been on about 45 minutes here. We're gonna do the shutdown process. You can't just run over there and unplug it. Ozark Overland Adventures video said he did that on accident and it kind of messed up the diesel heater that was his friend's, and he explained that you need to hold the power button down here for a few seconds and it will change to off. The fuel pump, you heard it stop clicking, but it's still running there, and it goes through its little cool down procedure and I guess keeps everything clean inside there so it won't build up on you. So we're on the cool down procedure there, and it's cranking out a little bit more watts while it's doing its cool down procedure there. But then you want to make sure, it's supposed to be real critical that you do that properly so you don't mess anything up there. All right, it went up a little bit more to about 105 watts output there during the cool down. It's heating up the glow plug there to burn off the excess build up to clean everything out. All right, guys, it took about 3-4 minutes maybe. This thing shut down on its own. What we're gonna do is unhook my Ecoflow EB55 and hook up my dad's. He's got an Ecoflow Delta 1300 watts. On mine, we've got a 12 volt, 10 amp DC output here for the cigarette lighter port. And on his, I think it's 8 watts. So we're gonna see, or 8 amps, sorry. We're gonna see if that works. So on this Ecoflow Delta 1300, we got nothing plugged up except the diesel heater in the back. Got a full charge. We're gonna turn this bad boy on and see if his will run it. See what we got here. It might take a minute to do the startup procedure. We'll get back with you. All right, the fuel pump started. You can hear it clicking. Still working. Okay, the battery symbol there is flashing, and we've got an E-01 going on. Here's the instruction manual with the fault codes there. The power supply under voltage is the E-1.
Cut it off.
Yeah, and now the heater just cut off. I'm not putting out anything. All right, guys, it's a week later on the Ecoflow Delta 1300 watts. We were using the cigarette lighter car DC output, and that output on this one apparently was 8 amps and wouldn't get the diesel heater going. So Dad's bought this thing here from Amazon. We'll put the link in the description. Tell them what it does there.
Well, this is you plug it into 110 on your solar panel there, and then it converts it down to 12 volts. It's made for LED lighting. It'll do up to 250 watts. So we're going to plug it up and see if it'll turn the heater on and see how much power it draws versus him going straight from 12 volts on his.
Yep, so my This thing we showed you at the beginning, we hooked up this right here to the back. And it worked fine on mine, on the Bluetti EB55. It got it running because it draws a little bit more power to get it going. It's a 10 amp, 12 volt there. His is apparently possibly an 8 amp, and it wouldn't get it running. So we got that. It was about 58 bucks on Amazon. We'll put the link in the description. And now we're gonna plug it in to the AC output on here. See if we can get it rolling.
This length of wire was real short. That's the way it came. So I just put some eyelets on it, and I'm gonna put them on the terminals down here and see if it works. Then I'll figure out when I get my heater. Doesn't come until this week, and I'm gonna see if I can maybe mount this on top or somewhere to keep it out of the way. And then I'll just run an extension cord to it from the power supply when we go camping. But we'll hook it up here and see if it'll fire it up.
So on this, you got a brown and blue wire, and it tells you the brown's the positive and the blue's the negative. Black's negative, if you didn't know that, and red's positive. So you want to get them screwed in there.
Take the glove off.
I just screwed the wrong cap on the wrong color, but it's all right. We're going by what's labeled on the actual thing there. You can see there's red behind it. Don't matter which cap you put on there, I guess.
Let's turn the power on here.
Turn that on.
Yeah, turn on
That's good to go. Ready for the heater.
the AC voltage.
Turn your AC outlet on.
Yep. There we go, we got power.
Then we gotta hold this in a little bit here. There we go.
Yeah, 40, 50, it's going up in the wattage. We'll see how much it'll pull.
It took a few minutes, if you remember at the beginning there when we hooked it up to that one. It takes a few minutes for this thing to get rolling. You can see all the lights and stuff changing. It's got the battery light, that means you're good. See the two lights on the bottom flashing back and forth. The glow plug light's on there in the red. You can hear it running a little bit. The fan's on in there, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's just still climbing up, getting the glow plug going.
So here in a minute, the fuel pump should start pumping, clicking. I'll come back to you when that happens and let you know how long it was. Okay, it wasn't even a full minute later and the fuel pump is clicking on there. It's putting out more output than it was through the DC cigarette lighter output first time we tried it. You hear it cranking up there a little bit.
Yeah, the first time we started it, if you notice on the screen, how do you get that? Come back up.
It's on just barely.
There's a little battery indicator up here. And when it tried to run like that before, with this one, that would flash. So there wasn't enough power to keep it going.
Yeah, and we ended up getting that error code and then it shut down. But now you can hear it firing up a little bit. There's exhaust coming out, I can hear it. Looks like it's gonna work now. It takes a little bit of power to get this thing rocking and rolling, but then it'll be less power once it's putting out the heat there. Alright, it's just about 30 seconds later. You can hear it kicking in a little bit more now. Alright, this heater is on the lowest possible setting there. Barely cranking. 10 watts output here. We got the 16-foot hose on there.
About 80,
So if you're
80 to 90 hours off of the battery.
If you got that run up to your rooftop tent or into my ground tent, you might have to stretch it out a little bit there. Of course, I'm not going to try to stretch it that far because I think you'll lose heat if you go too far. We're I'm cranking this up to about a 4.1. See how much power it starts drawing out here. About 25 to 30 maybe. Fluctuating a little bit. Alright, we got this thing stretched out. Let's try the temp at the end here. See what we got.
Well, at least 150, 148.
Still pretty hot air coming out. You can feel it if you put your hand right up on it. The thing's cranked up as high as it'll go. That's how much output we're getting there. He's got a rooftop tent, and I haven't seen anybody say they've had to run this on high on a rooftop tent. They usually say they gotta run it on low and even crack a window, so. I wouldn't think if you're camping you'd have to run it on high on that, unless you're freezing outside, like super cold. All right, this thing fits in the original box, even with the wood attached on the bottom. It's got about a half a tank. Drove home from my dad's to my house about 25 minutes. There's no fuel spillage or anything. A lot of people say that the caps are really bad and it could leak fuel out during travel. But at least as far as driving on normal roads, it didn't, with a half a tank. So as far as driving on trails with it bouncing around a bunch, I'm not sure. We'll test that out at another time. There you go, guys. Thanks for watching. That's how you put the diesel heater together. That's how you get it running with 2 different power stations. And if you have one of the power stations that has a little bit less powerful DC 12 volt output there with the 10 amps versus 8 amps or whatever, and it doesn't get your diesel heater started up so you can run it, get that extra power supply there. We're going to put all the links and everything in the description there. Appreciate you. Stay tuned. Subscribe for more off-roading, Jeep / overlanding camping adventures. We're going to test this diesel heater out in a rooftop tent and a ground summer tent that has mesh on top, so stay tuned for that. Go to shopoverlandapparel.com for new merch. We got a brand new design. Check it out there. And I appreciate y'all watching. Have a good one.